With this trick, you'll make the most amazing bread in your home oven and save money since it doesn't require any expensive tools. To make the perfect bread, I want to introduce you to my inverted tray method. It's really a game changer for home bakers. But before going into detail, let's have a quick look at the role of steam when baking. Steaming is really essential because it creates a humid environment around the bread doughs you're baking. Now to explain how this works, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the book called The Sourdough Framework. You can read it for free at the-sourdough-framework.com. There's also a hardcover version available if you appreciate the content. It features amazing illustrations that show you exactly how to make the best bread at home. If you don't have enough steam, a crust forms directly on your loaf. And this means that your bread cannot expand properly vertically in the oven while it's baking. You want to delay that crust formation as much as possible. And to do so, you can use steam. And there are 3 ways how you can achieve that. First of all, the inverted tray method, which I'll show you in this video, a Dutch oven, or a steam injection oven. Personally, I always opt for the inverted tray method because it's cheap and everybody can do it. Dutch ovens are fairly expensive and start at $100 probably. And a proper steam injection oven is a whole different game. So this is my preferred option. And what you need is you need to have 1 inverted tray here on top, then your doughs below, and ideally a bowl with some hot boiling water at the bottom. I like to use some rocks inside, but it's definitely not required. And the way how this works is the following. You're loading your breads into the oven. The boiling water at the bottom creates steam all around your oven. At the same time, while your bread is baking, it also releases steam. And by having this inverted tray on top, you're shielding your doughs against the top heating element of your oven. So all the steam is going to start move upwards and then circle around your bread doughs, creating you a dough sauna. This means it's really nice and humid. The crust formation is delayed and your breads can start to grow vertically upwards. You can use a stone here in the middle, but you could also just use another tray with parchment paper. Seriously, I think it's a game changer and will guarantee you amazing bread in your oven. So let's now look at the full process. This assumes that your dough or bread rolls are ready to be baked. I don't want to go too much into detail on the full recipe, but I'm going to be linking a video right here where you can check out a tutorial how to make amazing bread at home. This works for sourdough and yeast-based loaves. And as far as I can tell, also for cheesecake. Place your water tray and place your stone or tray in your oven. Heat your oven to roughly 230 degrees Celsius or 440 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Now take your doughs and score them. When scoring your dough, make sure to use a very sharp knife. A razor blade really works wonders. And then you want to score the top of your dough at a 45-degree angle. Please note that this changes depending on where you would like to score your dough. And this scoring allows the dough to rise through that small incision upwards. In the end, you'll be presented with a beautiful ear on top of your bread. This provides additional crisp texture to the fluffy crumb structure. To me, that's the perfect bread. Another cool trick to make scoring a lot easier is to rub your dough after shaping in some flour. So you're placing your dough in a banneton or a bowl, and before you do that, just take some of the flour you used for shaping and rub it gently everywhere on top of your dough. The surface becomes a lot drier and this is going to make scoring easier. Alternatively, you can also store your bread in the fridge overnight, this is called retarding, or place it in your freezer for 30 minutes. This is going to have a similar effect. So we just scored our dough and now we are ready to spritz it with some water. Is that, by the way, a word? If you don't have a water spritzer, what you can definitely also do is just gently rub some water on top of your dough or use your hand to massage the dough with a little bit of water. Now take that tray, that inverted tray, and place it in your oven above the space where you want to load your doughs. Make sure there is enough space, and I'm speaking from experience, that your breads can rise upwards. You don't want it to be placed too close to the actual bread doughs because else they'll just grow upwards against it and that's going to cause a big mess. It's important that this tray is not preheated. The next step is to load your doughs in the oven. Now the baking process starts. Make sure you have your boiling water at hand. I typically use my water cooker to do so. Place that boiling water inside of the tray at the bottom. This tray of course has to be preheated because we want a lot of steam to be created. It should ideally be something out of metal. Don't use a glass bowl, it's going to shatter. Now bake your dough for around 30 minutes. After 30 minutes you'll have no more oven spring. In theory, your bread is ready to be eaten like this. Pro trick, you can use a thermometer and measure the core temperature of your dough. Once it's at 92 degrees Celsius or roughly 200 degrees Fahrenheit, your bread is ready. You could take the dough like this, which would be called par baking, and send it to your friend, or you could store it in a freezer for later times. There's one problem though, this bread has not finished baking. We don't have the crust yet. So the first 30 minutes have just been about getting that vertical rise. And now the second half of the baking process is about getting that beautiful crust. Because bread is always a play of textures. You want the crisp outside and the fluffy interior. This combination really creates the perfect bread. So now we need to build that crust, and to do so we remove the source of water, which would be the bottom tray with water, and we also remove the top inverted tray. This way the browning process of your crust starts. And now this can take 10 minutes or 20 minutes. This really depends on what you personally like. Everybody likes a different style of crisp crust. Personally, I really like it when you have different colors of the crust. Each color creates a unique flavor. If you're baking on a tray or baking on a stone, chances are that the bottom of your bread might not be fully brown yet. In that case, what you can simply do is you can take your loaf, flip it upside down to expose it more to the top heating element. Now this method is not gonna work if you have an oven which has a fan which is always turned on. These ovens are made to eject all the steam from the goods inside. So the crust will form very quickly and all the steam will evaporate from the oven. In this case, your only option is to use a Dutch oven. This is my go-to method because it also allows me to bake 2 loaves at the same time, compared to a Dutch oven where I can only bake 1 loaf at a time. So please give it a shot and let me know if you like this method. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful.